Hi, everyone. My name is Denis Belkevich. I'm the co-founder and general partner at Fuel Arts, and with me, Sonia Stubblebine, the project manager at Fuel Arts. So we're welcoming you back to the our weekly online webinars devoted to the mixture of the two worlds, art tech and venture capital. As you know, these webinars held in spring 2023, more than 10 in a row, have been focused on the diversity of the Tezos ecosystem. These webinars introduce you to the managers, creators, founders, artists, technical experts, and analytics working to develop the number one blockchain for the arts. And of course, we're doing that because currently we are having our batch of Fuel Arts and Tezos Accelerator 23. And we're thrilled to invite you finally to the demo day of Fuel Arts and Tezos Accelerator, taking place on April 27th. So please go to our website, fuelarts.com, and register to take part in the webinar and ask directly questions and receive materials about the amazing lineup of the startups. So after 2.5 months of intense acceleration, we will be proud to present you the 10 startups from 8 different countries, all leveraging the power of Web3 technology to drive the next wave of innovation on Tezos. So we believe that you'll be interested in this exclusive event. So where you have the opportunity to discover the most innovative art tech startups of the year. And I'm happy now to uh, give a quick review of those startups, if you don't mind. Sure. Those who are tracking us in via social networks, they already know the lineup. But yeah, let's start with Ararum Chain. So the SaaS solution to support museums from preservation to crowdfunding through NFTs. Great museum solution, very needed one. The second one is Art Square. Yes, the blue chip art fractional shares exchange. Very interesting business proposal, the art NASDAQ analog, which the art market has been waiting for so long. The third one, the first Netflix economy platform for collectibles. Yes, a lot has been said about that. The art world needs its dedicated art Netflix. So now that could happen through the launch of Cheney. Comic 30 from the US. Well, it's all about storytelling nowadays. It's all about storytelling, and when we add AI to the storytelling, it's a perfect mixture for growth, for opportunities, not only for comic lovers but also for brands. Another one, the fifth one, Econospace. Econospace, yes, a new Web 3.0 social network to display and share artworks online. A long-awaited solution for those collectors of digital art, of NFTs, who had all their collection uh, placed in different places, in different wallets. And they, of course, needed a solution for maintaining and for showcasing that in one single VR place. Um, Kaleido. Kaleido, I'm a big fan of artists and artistic career management. That's why I have a bit of personality towards this startup. Uh, yeah, so this is a perfect tool for career management of digital artists. How they realize it, we'll see in 2 weeks. M1X Labs, an NFT discovery and creation dApp on the Tezos blockchain. Well, it all comes from the complex NFTs, the future of NFTs, as curators say. And yeah, they have already started with mixing art and music into one NFTs. Let's see a beautiful traction. And NFT biennial. What could be added? The best solutions, the best business models from the art world, from traditional art world, sooner or later had to be taken to the Web3, and biennials, as one of the main drivers of traditional art world, has finally received its digital interpretation. And yeah, world's first art NFT biennial, the perfect one-liner, and a perfect sense. Phygital Plus have already received several proposals to be acquired, even during the batch. Not only because it's AI, it's a no-code AI workplace for art design, tech, and Web3 startups. If you want to have your own pocket AI, you can just use Phygital Plus and attach it to whatever startup you have. That's my variant of the pitch. Don't be offended, guys, but yeah, you're cool as well as the rest of the 10 startups. And Prompt C from Japan, they are securely sharing AI artworks and prompts with special permission NFT. Yeah, it's all about generative art and AI art these days. So this platform is very mainstream with some technical peculiarities. And also about these technical peculiarities, we'll be happy to speak with our today's guest. So yeah, let's invite Erwin. So hi Erwin.
Hi.
Let us present you. Let us present you. For those who have seen our Fuel Arts report, the especially the Tezos section, they know they saw the special article devoted to the analysis of the Tezos ecosystem and the numbers and the analytics. In other words, you showed that there are companies who do care about, let's say, statistics, about analysis, and about careful work with information, because information nowadays is key. So let's put it formally. Erwin Hoogerwoord is a designer and technologist focused on building interactive tools to accelerate and amplify human creative thinking. And he created his platform, the Stack Report, in 2021. So it's a research analysis outlet that attempts to capture and tell the story of the new tech stock for the internet, in particular on Tezos. What have we missed?
No, I think that captured it pretty well. Maybe the Stack Report is really about data first, looking at the data and seeing what stories emerge from that. But I'm sure we'll get into that further.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. You know, this is our 12th webinar devoted to the Tezos ecosystem, and we've started with, let's say, Valerie, the head of art, and then Mason, the representative of the Tezos Foundation. Then we moved into the practice of marketplaces and spoke to the artists. We spoke to the partners. We spoke to the Serpentine Gallery, who are partners of Tezos. So finally, we came up to analytics. Finally, we came up to analytics and to data, to the, let's say, product which is focused on data. But anyway, as soon as there is a lot of data in the internet is based on data, but you've chosen Tezos. Our first question is, so what drew your attention to Tezos, and why have you decided to join that growing community of Tezos builders?
Yeah, so I was actually just looking back at my personal wallet history, as you can do on an open blockchain. And it's almost 2 years ago when I collected my first NFT on Tezos, and it was early 2021, when basically, it was still quite COVID lockdown. And I was sort of, very much online because we were all in our houses. And I saw basically a lot of digital artists, creative coders, this crowd that I started to sort of follow and contribute to as well by posting my own creations. I saw them all sort of in the period of weeks flocking to this new platform, Hicketnunk, that was basically built on Tezos. It had a very sort of grungy underground feeling to it. It was a sort of pure feed of square pictures that you could mint and add your own to. So I basically, on a Sunday afternoon, I took a couple of hours to create my Tezos wallet and minted my first NFT. And then in the weeks following that, that community started to organize a hackathon that was also purely online. So I joined that hackathon to sort of discover how do you build on Tezos, how do you sort of how does this work? Building a sort of open source in a decentralized manner, in a sort of DAO style, sort of autonomous distributed team type of structure. It was very messy, very chaotic, but at the same time, I saw that the Tezos tech stack had some really, really high quality code in it as well. You have really the sort of the top of the line computer science people are building sort of the core code base, but in an open source manner. And I think that's really following sort of the initial crowd of creatives. Also, the technology supporting it attracted me further to sort of explore the Tezos space further.
Thank you, Erwin. And also would love to ask you more about the stack report, obviously. And I feel like our team is very familiar with the stack report, but maybe our audience, if they're not, could you tell us more, what is the stack report and what is the core mission of the report itself?
Yeah, so it's indeed mainly it's a website that's covering tech stacks in that sense, I would say. It was really, the starting point for it was me visualizing this Hicketnunk data, but I started to sort of grow where I wanted to really take that further and look at the tech stack of Tezos more broadly to see how do other smart contracts, how do supporting technologies work. So the stack report in that sense is a website with research articles, with data visualizations that sort of support that research. So we also have some tools where you can explore different smart contract dashboards. But the sort of the core sort of construct of it is the stack, which in that sense, there's also some books written about this sort of more philosophy behind the technology that sort of structures the stack as a new sort of power structure for the internet. So I sort of took that as a theme to really just produce research and articles that look at different creators, different layers at which different developers and teams are operating. So that's a bit, the story of it.
Thank you, Erwin. You know that I'm a big fan of reports, and I always wanted to have my own one. And finally, we managed to organize and issuing now our report, to which you have contributed to. And but my question is, like, okay, so we have reports. I mean, the most of the reports, or better say by 2020-21, the most of the reports in art and tech were focused on the physical market. So what distinguishes the reports on decentralized market from those on physical world markets, in your opinion? And moreover, quite a provocative question, but why are they needed? I mean, the reports on decentralized market, why are they needed if the information is already open by definition? So what's your opinion?
Yeah, no, I think it's a fair question. I think on the one hand, that the data is open is true. It's in that sense, and any sort of analyst, any type of person that has sort of the time available, let's say, can get to the data if he or she wants. But at the same time, it takes time. So in a sense, a report is a sort of compression of that data to sort of feed it into the humans that are looking to get insights or get to a quicker understanding of what's currently going on, or what are sort of the key takeaways for the last year, for the last week, for the last month, or something like that. So I think that's sort of just, there is always this sort of input output where you can't handle all of the data, all of the information at once as a human being. So if somebody can sort of curate that a little bit for you, I think there's definitely always going to be a need for that.
I really loved that you used the word curated. So it can be because I've never heard curated analytics, but I'll be happy to start using that.
Good.
Yeah, curated analytics. It's genius actually, because no one can say it's centralized, it's decentralized, but curated. Yeah, because people are, everyone is used to the fact that if something is curated, that adds value.
Yeah.
So valuable analytics. I mean,
I think there's
shouldn't frighten. Like, okay, it doesn't focus your attention towards that part of the data you should see, or let's say draws something into darkness out of the attention, what you shouldn't be concentrated on. But it adds value. It systemizes. Yeah. I don't know how to pronounce it still. Anyway, yeah, thank you for your honest reply.
Yeah, I think there's another component to it as well, which is in sort of my background as a sort of is in design and data visualization, in sort of in information design. And then often people kind of refer to the pyramid of, on the bottom you have data, then from data you get information, and then you get sort of knowledge, and then you get sort of wisdom all the way at the top. And I think that's also something that with if you compare, for example, the stack report to something like an indexer or something like, or a block explorer, there are other interfaces out there that are giving you access to the sort of the data layer, or maybe the information layer of that data that lives on a blockchain. But I think also something that then, whereas a block explorer or something like that kind of interface, you want those to be a little bit neutral, whereas something like a report can be more sort of subjective, can add interpretation, can add sort of context to it as well, that you from a pure technology standpoint, you want your tool to be neutral, but something like a report can add that extra sort of layer of opinion or of interpretation on it.
Cool. Yeah, I agree with you.
Absolutely. Also, as we started talking about visualization, why do you think in general it's important to have data visualization to actually know more about Tezos and to tell the Tezos story in general?
Yeah, so that's a good question as well. So blockchains, especially, I would say at the current status, blockchains are relatively easy to understand in that you have an account, and an account has a certain amount of transactions connected to it. But it's what those transactions contain can be pretty varied with this current smart contract technology. But then well, maybe we'll get to that as well. Of course, Tezos has recently announced sort of the roll-up technology that went live on mainnet as well. So in a way, these blockchain ecosystems, they're becoming pretty sort of abstract providers of computation. But at the same time, you kind of see that a blockchain wants to be a kind of community, or a sort of people sort of inherently sort of attribute community-like aspects to a blockchain as well. You see quite some groupthink in blockchain world, in the world of crypto, Web3 as well. So there is this tension, and I don't know exactly how this will play out into the future. But you see a lot of interest in the technology. There seems to be a sort of converging towards this community-like thing around blockchains as well. So there is, I think, an opportunity to do a bit of world building around it as well, to make it more tangible. What does all of this computation mean? So I think that's where data visualization is just the very first step of adding this extra layer of making it tangible, making it sort of experiential to it.
Thank you. We also, we have a link for everyone who is watching that. Thank you for your comment, Anna.
Yeah, and also I receive private messages from the startups from our batch. As we said, 10 startups are waiting for the demo day for their graduation from FuelArts and Tezos Accelerator in 2 weeks. They have started asking how they could cooperate with, let's say, with the stack report. So what should they do to start being visible on the radar of the stack report, and Erwin in particular?
So step one is make sure that you have a smart contract as part of your tech stack. Then it will, the articles that we write, they're pretty sort of driven by our own interests. So those, we have quite limited resources because it takes quite a lot of effort, but the dashboards that sort of provide broader sort of insight into what's going on, they're all basically fully coming from on-chain activity. So basically every smart contract has its own dashboard on the stack report. So make sure if your startup has some on-chain activity, make sure that your smart contract also has the correct metadata, which we regularly refresh as well, so that your smart contract has a name attached to it as well. It's not everyone does it, or sometimes they're slow to do it, so then you're not that easy to find. But if you attach your name to the smart contract, I don't actually know right now from the top of my head where and how to do that, but I'm sure there are some tech people around that can help you out with that.
Thank you, Erwin. So let's move on with our questions, with our webinars. Let's speak about our report and your contribution, so everyone can find your contribution in the Tezos section as part of the section devoted to the Tezos art ecosystem. So you provided the materials for FuelArts Startups report, and could you tell us more about the data you provided, and let's say, what should the readers pay attention to reading your observations and looking at your graphics?
Yeah, so I've provided indeed 3 graphs to the report. They're both timeline graphs, basically from the last 2 years or so of 2.5, 3 years or so of Tezos data. Basically for 3 major sort of art NFT platforms on the Tezos blockchain. So on the timeline, what you will see, I don't know if you can actually pull up that image or not.
We'll try to. We'll do our best.
Yes, I'm sorry to
no,
on you.
That's our opportunity, but
yes. So indeed, it's I forgot. Don't know if I also included the general Tezos transactions chart with it, but at least I included it for Hic@Nunc, platform I mentioned already, object.com, and FX hash. And basically what you see in the graphs is that early sort of mid 2021, you saw sort of the initial, sort of 2021 hype cycle of NFT interest, first growing on Hic@Nunc. It's still, in terms of peaks and daily activity, still one of the most active moments are still from that year on the Tezos blockchain. It was quite interesting in the backstory of Hic@Nunc is that it was really built by, let's say, an underdog, Raphael, who I don't know if that story has been covered before.
Okay.
So, there we go.
Yes, here we go.
Yes. Yeah, so indeed, I don't know if it's possible to zoom in a little bit on the graphs.
Mm-hmm. We're trying to do that. Okay.
Yes, perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, so indeed the top graph is indeed the Hic@Nunc NFT platform, where the graph visualizes swaps, which is was their word for a trade of an NFT. So somebody could put up a token for a swap for a certain price, and then somebody else could sort of accept that accept that swap, pay the amount that was sort of asked for, and then they would receive the NFT. And you see sort of the vertical white lines there, the year marks. So you sort of see also basically no activity before 2021, and then within 2021 you see sort of it rising, which was really almost completely bottom up. Hype of people, of artists, sort of coming together, and these peaks that you see, they were days. They were called object for object, where object was sort of the name of a token on the Hic@Nunc platform, which is now goes by the name Taya, which is a sort of community fork of that code base, and actually progressing. They have actually done quite some work in the recent months as well in further evolving. But basically on those days, artists would sort of put up their object for sale for like a cent or one XTZ, so almost no money, just to sort of make it a social experience of people collecting each other's art. But what you then see in the second and the third graph is sort of the pretty quick, actually, sort of professionalization, I would say, of the NFT space on the Tezos blockchain. But on the one hand, object.com building out a further marketplace that not only had the swap mechanism, but also auction mechanisms, such as the English and Dutch auction. And they also allowed for artists to create their own contract. There's maybe a discussion for another time how that sort of what the nuances around that are. But you basically see that they have basically picking up from the Hic@Nunc really hype or just chaos. They started to slowly build up their usage, and basically throughout the last year and now as well, they just continue at a completely steady amount of usage, even though sort of in the broader crypto industry, a lot of the metrics are way down from sort of 2021 metrics. You see object.com still steadily having pretty much the same amount of daily activity. And then this third chart is the FX hash marketplace activity. It is a dedicated marketplace to the FX hash platform, which allows for the minting of sort of seeded artworks, as I describe it there in the text, of basically generative scripts, mainly programmed in JavaScript, that then generate an artwork that's sort of uses the block hash or a transaction hash. I think it's a transaction hash that then is used to sort of provide some initial values for the script to build the artwork. And you see there also that it sort of took the baton of Hicketnunk and really maintained that sort of artistic creative spirit, and is also has maintained regular sort of interest from artists to publish, but also from collectors to collect those works going into 2023. So I think the main takeaway is that following a hype, there is really now a sort of seems to be a sustaining community of artists and of collectors that are using the platforms on the Tezos blockchain to publish and collect art.
Oh, Dennis, you're on mute, unfortunately. Sorry.
Thank you, Erwin, for this explanation. In that case, I believe it would be interesting for everyone to see also this slide and then download our report if you haven't done that yet. So these are the publicly, I should put a stress, publicly acclaimed art tech startups associated with the Tezos ecosystem. I mean, built on Tezos. So we have 54 startups, and green ones are those who are currently being accelerated inside our Fielarts and Tezos accelerator. So these startups are under your control, Erwin.
Yeah,
I don't think I have any control, because that's the point of sort of decentralized permissionless.
Right.
That's the beauty of it. You don't know what's going to happen.
Very true. Very true. I think we touched on it already, and I think you kind of touched it before during the webinar today. But could you maybe summarize about the place of the Stack report in the Tezos ecosystem, just once again?
Yeah, so indeed, I already kind of alluded to how it sort of relates and builds on top of sort of these indexers, block explorers. So I know for some features there is a little bit of an overlap, but how I see the Stack report is really to be much more of a sort of learning destination where you want to indeed gain insights, you want to get further understand basically what's happening within sort of this ecosystem, know what's currently happening, how maybe certain technology changes are impacting the way the ecosystem is evolving. So in that sense, it's I would say in sort of thinking in stacks, it sits on sort of on top of indexes and block explorers, which I heavily use to aggregate the data. And some of the tooling that's created on the website is also used. I use myself often, almost daily as well, just to sort of understand how a smart contract, when a smart contract started to get activity. So there is some overlap in some of the tools that are on the Stack report with sort of explorers. But the explorers are really often the interfaces really oriented around being able to drill down to individual transactions. And more recently, some of the TZGT one, for example, but others, they started to add more graphs to it as well, which is really awesome. Just to see that UX also becoming more advanced. But mainly there, sort of the dashboards you see on the Stack report are kind of overlapping with that functionality. But maybe I'm a bit further ahead of the curve because I don't need to. I can just create the graphs or that I'm interested in instead of having to fit it into the broader UX of an Explorer interface.
Thank you, Erwin. Sonia, you wanted to add something?
No, I was just saying thank you to Erwin, as always. You go, Dennis. Sorry.
Good. So one of the best things which happens to the persons who work with, who assemble data. So from the very first moment, as soon as you start working with data, accumulating data, you're just a viewer. You're just a person who has no personal attitude towards it. The more data you calculate, the more data you receive, the more dependencies between those data slices and numbers you start see the dependencies between them. Dependencies, the more dependencies you see, the more your own definitions and your own conclusions you have. So that's how the data miner becomes a data analytic, in my personal opinion. So it's all because of the level, the volume of the, there is a certain point where the volume of information transforms into analytics due to the dependencies and the analysis of those dependencies. So my question to you, from your professional perspective, what is the state of the Tezos ecosystem today based on those dependencies, which you are for sure naturally noticing, analyzing the data you receive?
Yeah, so I think it's a pretty broad thing to make a statement about, I would say, but I think it's
The ecosystem is broad
yeah,
itself. So
yeah.
Let's curate your reply.
Yes.
Give a curatorial reply.
Yeah, so I think this. Yeah, what I'm currently mainly, maybe I'll phrase it in sort of what I am curious about, to sort of see where what my open question is, which is,
The
on the
personal
one
approach
hand,
is the best one.
Yeah, so what I'm indeed seeing, what we just looked at the charts, but the numbers are telling is that there is a pretty active, still remains pretty active community of digital art sort of enthusiasts, of creators. They're very sort of actively making use of it, but also that's a very global, at least. Especially from the Hickett Nunk days, it was a very global community that also, from people who maybe didn't have sort of access to sort of more broader global networks. Through Tezos, they were able to connect to people across the world, get collected, or collect other people's works. But at the same time, you have this sort of there's sort of the core development teams of the Tezos technology that are doing basically some of the most cutting edge, sort of in the crypto space, cutting edge computer science work to create this roll-up technology. And it's I think if you look at the commonalities, they're sort of both communities that are very really in depth. They're passionate about what they're doing. But at the same time, I sort of see it as two different worlds, where on the one hand, the super advanced roll-up technology, I think I don't know if there is some, how many people from the art space currently have a sort of need specifically for that roll-up technology, or if that roll-up technology is basically built for much broader computational questions that are much more in sort of in the corporate or in the science or in the harder engineering domains. So I'm very curious where that sort of where that super advanced technology that's sort of being developed within the Tezos ecosystem, where is going to get sort of further adoption, because I don't directly see a natural link to more the sort of the creative digital art space yet. And maybe that's my lack of creativity, and I'm hoping somebody will fill that answer or fill that connection in the if somebody is watching here. I would love to hear it, but
Thank you for sharing that. I also feel like, in the end, we'd love to ask you about the future, about the plans of the Stack report. What do you see, in the future? How would you like to develop it? What kind of ideas do you have?
So I think we've with the Stack Report, we've done a bunch of articles already. I think we've maybe I don't know the exact count, but I think maybe 10 or so pretty deep dive articles digging into specific topics. And then we've developed the dashboards with the smart contract dashboards with maybe some around 10 charts or something like that. But I think that's basically still the starting point. And I think there are some much more sort of aspects of the Tezos technology that really haven't covered at all yet. So something, for example, the on-chain sort of voting mechanisms around the upgrades. Currently, there is not too much of a sort of democracy story around it yet, because it's mainly the same group of people proposing the next protocol upgrade. But in the concept of it, at least, there should be much more of a debate of where that sort of technology would evolve. So I think that's an interesting area that I'm very much looking forward to developing. And then, of course, the Stack Report is hopefully around to cover it. And I think also more recently I've launched what I've called the interpretation layer, which is a way for basically other people, not directly only the Stack Report team, but a more broader community, to basically add interpretation, add extra meaning to data streams, to data visualizations on the Stack Report. Currently, our main sort of live feature around that is basically the ability to place nodes on specific moments on the charts that are available. But there I also have more ideas to develop other tools to basically aggregate, add meaning to data. And nothing to announce, but I see a broad sort of space to build more tools to dig even deeper into data streams and different subsets of data, of doing that kind of analysis.
Thank you.
Thank you, Erwin. I should confess that you're the most the most optimistic and smiling data analyst I've ever met.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I believe that your enthusiasm should be, spread throughout the Tezos art community. The more, the better. So we'll be happy if the information about the Stack Report will be shared even wider than it's shared now, and the more startups would like to, let's say, be in the scope of your precise attention and to cooperate with you somehow. And everyone who would like to tap into the Tezos ecosystem will understand from the very beginning that there are companies like yours who do care what's going on there, and who are, let's say, constantly researching the data, and also with the curatorial approach.
Yes.
Great. So thank you for this talk. Thank you for your contribution to the Fuel Arts Startups Report. We'll be happy to continue our collaboration in future.
Yes, looking forward to that as well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again for what you are doing, and expect 10 more startups knocking in your curatorial analytics doors quite soon, asking for some tips.
Yes.
Actually, we have a small question, a small additional question. We are always, nearly always, asking the founders about their tips towards the startups, let's say. But I will not ask you.
We can actually ask tip about reports. I think that would be maybe very interesting.
Yes, right.
Yeah, we can do that.
For those, not for the startups, but for those who would like to establish their own analytics or establish their own let's say, yeah, establish their own analytics, what would be the first, what will be the 3 or maybe 4 or 2 tips, the main tips for those who want to dive into analytic work?
So how it started for me was I've not really done report work like this before actually digging into Hicketnunk data, starting the stack report. And one of the in Dutch you have the saying, I don't know if it translates to English, the stick behind the door is sort of committing yourself to a schedule of like a weekly or monthly or something like that, and making sure you have your setup to get that report out, get interpreted, and then publish and keep on publishing on a weekly basis. I must confess that I don't hit that weekly target every week, but it's sort of it really pushes you to sort of stay on the ball, to think, okay, what's happening now? No, it's not always not every week always is super interesting in terms of the insight, but that's kind of depends on the domain that you pick, I guess. So, but commit to some kind of schedule, and then just repeat.
Yeah, thank you for inspiring the youngsters. It's a part
So
of
I still feel pretty young myself, so that's okay.
I mean, the startups, they have no age. I know the startuppers who started, who were successful entrepreneurs, but they decided to or
I guess the startup is always young, so
yes, yeah, those people, they took very high positions, for instance, in the art market, in the traditional art market, but then they decided to become a startuppers. So after 50, and after that, they had to take to follow the rules of the startup world, like being friendly with the community, stop being snobbish, stop being offensive, and so on. So yeah, most of them, they really succeed in that. So yeah, thanks again, Erwin, and
yes, you're welcome.
Let's rely on your data.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you.
I feel like our audience got to know a lot about the stack report today, and more about the Tezos community and Tezos overall. Yeah, and for those who are watching, just follow the website and find all the necessary information. And we're going to continue the webinars as usual next Thursday. So for our regular audience, we'll see you in 1 week.
Yes, and please register if you're an investor or a journalist to participate in the demo day of FuelArts and Test Accelerator. The details you could find on our website, fuelarts.com. Thank you, Erwin, again. Thank you, Sonia. Thanks, everyone. See you in a week. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Good luck.